Firstly, we have the skirt.
Okay. Here's the body.
We've got the float system.
Right.
We have the bumper strip.
Okay.
And we got the deflector
Right.
wheel.
Control valve.
Correct. Extra accessories for your weir installation. And lastly, we have the leader hose to connect to the machine.
Okay. The spikes should face upwards of the disc, not the other way around, otherwise the machine cannot operate properly, and it's marked top. So you slide that over the body, okay, and then tuck it under the little wings, the intakes, right? And it's locked, it can't rotate.
Now we've got the float, Brian.
Right, to attach the float, you've got numerous positions where you can actually locate the float. The higher the float, the more buoyancy you're going to give to the machine, and it will lift it on its toes. Lower down, it's going to give it less buoyancy and will have a tendency to move more this way. So by moving your float up or down, or your clip-on weight higher or lower, that will influence the flotation of the machine. Now,
The deflector wheel.
we got a deflector wheel, which you can put on, clips on exactly the same way as your float, and you just pull it over, and there she's locked into position. Okay, now this protects the body of the machine and also helps it to get out of difficult corners. Or you can take this off and use the bumper strip, which fits into a little slot at the back here of your ballast weight, and you put the little legs in and you put it onto the first notch. You don't want this to bulge out too much. If you find that your disc is distorted after you have unpacked the machine, lay it on a flat surface, take it off the machine, lay it on a flat surface, pour hot water from the kettle over this. You won't damage the material. Leave it for 5 to 10 minutes and the distortion will come out of the disc. Right, next.
Okay. The first hose that you put on, it says leader hose. This gets attached to the machine. Give it a firm squeeze over the machine,
Right,
and that's the first hose.
right.
All the other hoses, male to female.
Those are stiffer. These hoses are stiffer than your leader hose. This leader hose is a lot softer than the rest of it, which will give you better coverage through the pool, helps the machine to climb and also get out of difficult situations like the steps and corners, etc., etc. Right, now we're going to follow on with the normal hose, and you push it in male to female, and you hear it must click 3 times, then it's locked in position. So you keep on adding hoses until you've got the correct length for your particular size pool. Now we get the control valve. Okay, it's a self-regulating control valve. More suction that you got, the more bypass it will give you, and gives you the correct amount of suction for the machine to work efficiently in your pool. So this will go into your last hose, and you see you connect it with a 45-degree angle into the hose, and give it a nice push, and there it's locked into position. And into your suction point. And we're ready to go. Now, with this one, you have got a bypass, a spring-loaded bypass. What you've got to do here is to close this bypass as much as you can. So you get as little bypass coming through here, and the control valve will actually do the work for you. So the way we're going to connect that now, Derek.
Brian, you take your first comb, which is supplied in the box, insert it into that hole there. Right? Okay. When you take the valve, the long part, and you stick it into the hole, and it's touching the body of the lid,
Right.
remove
Yes.
and install a second cone on top of the first cone.
Okay, gives you more height.
More height.
Okay.
Okay.
Then the strike part will go into the cone.
Into the cone.
Yes.
And then we take the 45 degrees because you don't want to put no tension on the hoses.
Okay.
Put on top. The little soft blue adapter, put on front. One of the hoses has got a plastic insert. It's inserted inside, tight fit. That one is used to go over the valve, and then you've got a perfect 90-degree bend on.
We have an upgrade from this particular control valve, which regulates the amount of suction to your machine for the machine to work correctly. And it's this one, this particular one here. Okay. Now, as you can see, it's a see-through control valve. The advantages are it's very easy to see if anything is blocked in the mechanism, and it's a multi-purpose one because you can use this as a flow meter to see how much suction your particular filtration has. So what you do, it's applied in a plastic bag. You've got an adapter and a nozzle. Now, just to test the amount of suction that you've got on your system, you disconnect the control valve from the weir and you make a direct connection to your filtration. Remove valve from your suction point, then you insert this connector in there, and then you use the cone to fit onto there and into your hose. Alright, now we've made a direct connection to your suction. You disconnect the hose from your Poolmaid. Right, it goes there. Now, you see this one is marked LCH. That represents low suction, correct suction, and high suction. Now, if you've got high suction, then it means the machine doesn't like too much suction. At the back of this valve, you've got a little plunger that you take out, and then you get extra bleed coming through the back and through there, and that should correct your flow. Correct. You always take your reading from the leading edge of that blue piston, so that would be low, correct, high. Okay. You put your little nozzle into the 45-degree angle of the control valve. If you've taken out the extra bleed, replace it with that little stopper back in. Right. And then what you do, you push that onto the straight end of the control valve. Now the suction will pull that plunger, the little blue plunger, and will tell you what the status is of your filtration. Low, correct, high. When you're doing this test, ensure that you've got this under the water level, otherwise you're going to suck air and you'll give you the wrong setting of the control valve. So when you're doing this test, always underneath the water, switch on the pump, and then it will give you your status of your suction. Now this is an upgrade. If you want to, you can, at a nominal charge, buy one of these if you need to have the multi-purpose control valve and flow meter. Once you've finished your flow meter test, remove it from the hose. Don't forget to remove this nozzle from the 45, otherwise your cleaner will not work. Remove that, put it in a safe place that you can use it at another stage. Connect this end back onto your machine and the other side onto your control valve, moving this direct connection, and putting in your control valve and in turn your hose.
Right? If your machine is moving very slowly, start at the weir lid, and check if there's no hairline cracks in your lid. So otherwise you get a bypass of water and that loses suction to your pool cleaner.
Okay.
And when you put the lid back in, these 3 little notches or any of the lids, ensure that it's in tight fit, that no suction can go past.
So in other words, you must ensure that the little lug is not underneath this lid. So they're all got to be tucked on top.
Correct.
That you don't get bypass going through here.
Yeah. And then the final check is if your valve is sitting very loosely, it intends to suck a lot bypass on the side of the valve. The extra cone we give you, just insert into the nozzle.
Nice tight fit, eh?
Nice tight fit.
Okay, good. Right.
And if you've noticed the machine's moving slowly still,
Yes.
go to the multi-port valve at your pump and motor
Right.
and put the valve onto bypass. So what you're doing is you're eliminating the filter system out of the flow of water.
Okay, you're not going through the filter media in other words, eh?
Correct. And if the machine has picked up speed and it's at a rapid movement and it's moving around the pool, your sand filter or your cartridge filter would be dirty and that needs to be cleaned.
And also your basket in the weir and at the pump itself.
Correct.
Another thing that you could look at on your pump lid, that's where your basket is of your pump. You can also make sure that you haven't got hairline cracks where it sits on the O-ring. If so, replace the lid, or you could also your O-ring could be flat, replace that. If the machine is getting caught into curvatures or corners, it could well be that you've got too much suction, because this machine doesn't like, the Poolmaid doesn't like a lot of suction. So you either, with this new flow valve and control valve, you can remove this little plunger at the back, and this will give you additional bypass there and through here. If the machine is climbing out of the pool, it could also be breaking the water line. It could also be that you've got too much suction. The same thing will apply. You remove this, you get more bypass going through the system. Okay?
Brian, when the pool cleaner is getting stuck in a corner or there's not adequate random movement, coverage of the pool,
Right.
please ensure that the leader hose
Yes.
is attached first to the machine.
Okay.
This is a very flexible hose that allows it to bend out of corners and create more random movement in your pool.
So if the sticker had to come off, it'll be quite easy to identify this one.
Through its flexibility, yeah, it's
It's a
much
lot
flexible.
more flexible than the normal hose. Now, coming back to the balancing of this machine, if you find the machine is running, what we say, on its toes, that means you've got too much flotation on the machine. You move this flotation downwards, so you have less upward movement. And if you find the opposite happening, that you've got a tendency to lie like that in the pool, you would move this flotation upwards by unclipping, moving it up to the next notch, and then ensuring that it dips into position, and this will lift the machine from this position to that position. Or you can also, this clip-on weight, move it further down towards the disc. That will also help to lift the machine to its correct position. Sometimes you find that the machine doesn't want to clean in the shallow end of the pool. Ensure where the water, your return water is coming back to the pool, is not making too much ripple on top of the surface. You must direct the little eyeball downwards to minimize the ripple on top, because if it's doing that, it pushes against the hose and in turn turns the machine around.